Estamos llegando muy cerca del momento de presentarles estas imágenes y sobre todo la reconstrucción, porque vamos a ver la imagen de un cadáver, pero creo que es aún más interesante ver cómo se veían en vida. Ahí es donde nos vamos realmente a sorprender. Sin embargo, antes de hacerlo, es importante escuchar al único testigo que sobrevive. Ya presentó unas palabras de él, Adam Dew, pero el 7 de enero de este año, junto a Adam Dew, Tom Carey, Don Schmidt, estuvimos en Albuquerque y realizamos la entrevista al único testigo presencial, el único hombre que estuvo ahí, vio los cuerpos y al ver estas imágenes podría decirnos si eran reales. Finalmente es el testigo principal. Este es Eleazar Benavides.
Eleazar Benavides. Eleazar era un piloto de 20 años de edad en las Fuerzas Aéreas del Ejército, apostados en el campo aéreo del Ejército de Roswell en 1947. Era un miembro del Escuadrón Aéreo 390 del Grupo 509, ubicado en Roswell en 1947.
I was with the Air Force for a long time. Then I was with these people and we practiced up in the Pacific. And this is from the Strategic Air Command. This is the 8th Air Force when I got in contact with all this stuff, you know.
So when you were told to return back to duty and then report to the 1B-29 hangar, at what point did you realize that this was a big...
Well, it took me a little while because of the restrictions that they were applying to the people there. You can't say what you see. You're not supposed to see what's there, and try to avoid not to see anything that you're not supposed to be involved with. And after you leave here, you haven't seen anything. So it was a give and take, you know, which was part of our lives, you know. We try not to.
What was the first thing at the hangar that you noticed?
The smell.
That was out of the ordinary.
The smell.
The smell.
The smell, it was very unusual. It was a vomiting thing, you know. I've been around where there was all kinds of smells, but this one was very unusual. And then when I had the troops posted around the hangar, and then in the inside later on they began to put some more light, you know, to light the area and so on. And but the smell was most. I've been around where I've been gassed a few times, you know, been around where there's unusual smells in certain areas.
How was the security of the hangar at that time?
Quite heavy. We had the entrances covered, outside covered, and one of the orders that we had that no one was supposed to look through the windows from the outside into the hangar. Because, you know, we had the lights there. Regular standing lights that we use for repairing aircrafts and to see the various parts of the fuselage and so on the sides, you know, where they're working on. And those were utilized to light the area where we had this special, what I thought it was a special equipment, you know, until I learned what it was.
And how did you learn?
The hard way. The hard way, because nobody told me anything and what actually we had there. And I wasn't supposed to tell. We went into a buddy system, you know, and we had the people on the outside. The first thing, it's strange when they put you there and they tell you you're not supposed to know what's in there, yet you're responsible, you know. And then when you're off from that particular duty, the first thing is, you haven't seen anything. I said, no. They asked me if I knew what they had in there. I said, no. But later on, I find out what it was, because we had to take some bodies to the hospital. We took it from the hangar to the hospital, you know, and we already had somebody on the crew of these creatures already in the hospital, and the smell in the hospital was nauseating, you know.
At what point did you actually see one of the bodies?
When we got him out of the gurneys, and they put one body on a hospital bed. Then that's when I really got a little awareness that what we were involved was not unusual. This was very unusual. And the sergeant, we had I can tell you, I can tell you later on, but I don't want to mention names since I have that code that we live by. But what attracted my attention was the smell in the hospital. We had on the corridors, you know, we had the old type hospital. They resemble more, every ward you can have about between 30 and 40 people, you know. And we had various wards, you know. And we had to close the hallways that led to the emergency to the rest of the hospital. They were closed because we had people stationed all over the place.
How did you transport the bodies over to the hospital?
In gurneys, you know, and
then what type of, did you use vehicles? What type of vehicles?
The old type military ambulance. There were also munition trucks, you know, that we used to use, you know. There was nothing fancy inside because it was just, it was an empty box, let's say, but it's made of steel. And you had two doors that you used to shut. And there were bulletproof vehicles. And we use them for And then some of the ambulance had a little less better accommodation than some of the other vehicles we had. But we put these people, whatever these subjects were at that particular time. And especially the ones that were moving. Why in the heck they put them in the hangar, I never know. They put them on the hangar after they faded away. They didn't resemble none of us in the military or personnel that we ever seen before. They were unusual.
Did they resemble anyone?
No.
How were they different?
Well, when you try to resemble something from humanity, these people appeared quite strange. And one of the orders we had was don't try to see too much. But it was something that, since I work a double shift, it was all the personnel were wondering what in the world we were dealing with. In fact, I had some of my troops complain that they were having trouble sleeping. I said, well, take it as we go along. I said, we got to live with it.
So again, how were they unusual? How were they different?
Their height,
which was approximately what?
When they were on the gurneys, they were not too big. Their heads were unusual.
How were the heads strange? And could you describe the features?
Well, one of my troops mentioned, he said, well, I guess this guy didn't worry for haircuts because I don't see no hair, he said. And being that I was trained, I didn't want to focus too much on what I was seeing because that way, well, it bothered me because I was in the type of life that we used to live in the old days. We wanted to be people that we kept a secret, We kept something, we were dedicated to this kind of thing. The less we could see was much better for us because occasionally somebody would pop up and they want to question you, and it was easy to confuse somebody because you didn't have to tell them too much, But
the features normal or are they different?
Very, very different.
In what way?
You see your face when you look at the mirror. You see your face. These people's face was a little more shaped different than what we are. Their arms were a little unusual. Their elbows were very unusual.
In what way?
Their feature, you got your human resemblance of what we are accustomed to see people, sometimes with or without a jacket. You could see their elbows and so on. But these creatures were, shall we say, completely different. And at least their mouth were small, but their eyes were a little more quite different than ours. We have our chin here, and over here, this creature looks a little different. For some people, we had some people that couldn't sleep afterwards. They were worrying more about this. They say, are we going to be hit from somewhere else? And then the whole thing was very unusual.
What was that?
Well, this This one here is quite different because it's already been exposed to. The ones we've seen were, this one's here look deflated, you know. You know, they have less, I thought for a while they had less ribs than what we got. Look at this, look at this picture right here. Right here. Mm-hmm. Their arms are shorter, for one thing. From their shoulders to their hands and to their supposedly elbow. These are quite different of what a human being looks like. The appearance of their shoulders they were not like ours, like the human beings that we are accustomed to see. The neck was much shorter. The head, I think you could have made a barber nowadays quit barbering because of the way the subject did look. It was, he bothered for a while, you know.
Is this what you saw back in 1947?
Part of it, yeah. And when I say part of it, because this one it seemed like this picture was taken way after that creature faded away, you know. And
what do the features?
Does
it pretty much?
Well, don't forget that some of the ones we had that we took to the hospital, there was still meat in their muscles, you know, compared to something like that. If you look at that, you can find a lot of difference of what humans actually look like. And look at his chest.
Does the head resemble?
Some, yeah. I say some because the one I saw had more flesh on it. And this one seemed like it's been deceased for a while. It looks pretty close. It's, if you had to smell to it, to me the resemblance is the only thing that I could tell you. The bodies were more full than what you got there. But they were about the same. When you look at them, and we had them on and we put them on the gurney, they look about that. And later on, when we stopped, we put them in boxes, especially the ones that were not. And then they will haul away to whatever, up north somewhere. And I wish I could tell you more but it looks very similar to what I saw. But the ones I saw at that particular time had a little more body than that. Just a little more body, meaning a little more fat, you know.
But aside from that, would you say that overall size, proportion,
you know, and one thing they had different, if you notice more carefully, the front end of their chest, they had more bone area than we do here. You can also notice that on the picture there.
Would you say the size of the head in proportion to the body?
Well, yeah, it was very unusual.
You probably accept or you realize that you may be the last surviving witness to seeing this, to seeing the bodies are recovered?
Well, I can give you an assurance that it looks very, very, very much to what I saw that night. Again, considering that they had more coverage on their bodies, you know, a little more.
More tissue.
Right. And like I told you before, the only part I didn't get to see was their feet. But what you got here so far is very close to what we saw. And for us that we have to sign papers, you know, many of us were involved in the military with too much secrecy.
You still believe you're under a security oath?
I still remember it. You know, I've been told that I can forget about it, but I guess my training got the better part of it.
For us, it's very important. This picture is the only one that has really come out. And you are the only people who can tell us if this is close to what you saw, this is the creature you saw.
It is very...
And we need do a statement about this because it's the only time that would be really ratified or certified something like this. That is why it's so important.
Well, let me say it very clearly that this does resemblance very, very much what I saw. With the only exception that at that particular time, some of these creatures were still alive. And like I say, why in the heck they put them in the hangar, I'll never know. That was beyond my control.
For the work and for history, you say this is it.
Yes. I think that you people got some good evidence that I lack that you have. And I think either people have given the opportunity at the time, it could have been better for all of us to know about it. But some of the things that you all came out, I wouldn't ask you where you got them, but they come pretty close, very, 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 very close. The only thing I want you to know, I never got to see their feet.
Muy importante porque es la única persona que estuvo ahí y que podría certificar esta evidencia. Para mí era muy importante que este testigo confirmara que esta fotografía que ahora vamos a ver